Welcome to the Sports Circus. I'm your ringmaster, Sal, live from Las Vegas in the AMP TV studio, AAMP.TV. Today's show is brought to you by UppercutChops.com. UppercutChops.com. Check out their tasty selection of all-natural, dry-aged USDA Prime Angus and Wagyu steaks and chops. Wait till you see their best-in-class New York steaks, the filet mignons, and, of course, the king of all, those massive, gigantic cowboy cut and tomahawk cut ribeyes. Hell, even the Angus and Wagyu Prime burgers will be probably the best you've ever had. Shop from the comfort of your own home at UppercutChops.com. That's UppercutChops.com. Or give them a call at 702-799-9935. 702-799-9935. Again, 702-799-9935. Or check them out on your mobile device, once again, at UppercutChops.com. All right, a big welcome in to everybody listening in on our CBS, NBC, and Fox Sports affiliates from coast to coast, Magic 97.9 FM right here in Las Vegas, CBS, NBC, and Fox, Cox, Comcast, Spectrum, Frontier, Wow Cable TV, Hotel Television, and everybody else that's listening in on the Mars rover. Thanks for joining us today. We've got a couple of legends with us. As a matter of fact, let's go to Bruce first. Bruce, introduce yourself, please.
Good evening or good afternoon, Sal, and good afternoon to all your viewers worldwide.
That is Mr. Bruce Crampton, folks. That is the, I believe, 43 PGA titles. Does that sound right?
Well, about that many worldwide. No, I won 14 times on the PGA Tour and 20 times on the Senior Tour.
That's a lot of titles, young man.
I wish that young man was true.
Yeah. Hey, listen, I think you're the youngest guy in the room. And then there's another one with us. In fact, we're going to let him introduce himself.
Butch, Baird. I live in Arizona now. I've won 15 titles around the world. I wish I had some age that I could slice off my body and go back and do it again, because I had a lot of fun playing. Bruce and I played a lot together, so we are real good pals. Now that's an Australian accent. Anyway, I'll be looking forward to doing this. Thank you, guys.
Yes, sir. And so we've got quite a bit of experience from the golfing world with us right now. But, you know, I have questions like everybody else does. I think a lot of people are asking questions about that whole live golf thing. Now, in case, folks, you don't know what's going on, the whole live golf is a professional golf tour financed by the public investment fund, the Sovereign Wealth Fund of Saudi Arabia. And, of course, the name LIV, in case you didn't know, is a reference towards Roman numeral 54, the score if every hole on par, 72 that is, par 72 course, were birdied, and the number of holes to be played at the LIV events. And so I want to know from a couple of longtime PGA guys what this looks like from a competitive standpoint. Is it good, bad, or indifferent? And we'll go to you first, Bruce, just because I want to hear your opinion on the LIV Golf tournament, or the LIV Golf Tour, so to say.
Sal, I'm not involved in it, so any information I have is second-hand, third-hand.
Just your opinion.
All I know is what I've read on the internet and what I've seen on television. That's about all I can speak. I'm not involved. I also did watch Greg Norman's interview on television, and I thought he made some very good points about what he was trying to accomplish.
Yeah, I mean, I'm just curious as to people's opinion. Look, out of the time that you've played, and you certainly played for a couple of years, right? So the fact is, it's like when we go to fuel up our cars, right? If there was one gas station in town, they could price fix and everything would be super expensive. But when we have a second and third gas station on the same corners and that intersection, maybe the gas prices are leveled off. Maybe there's some competition. Competition seems to be a good thing. And this is an individual game versus a full-blown team sport with, 50, 60 guys on a team, although they do have teams as well. But I'm curious, just from a competitive standpoint, Bruce, what is your feel for having another tour out there? Another option.
I thought Tiger made reference very well in his interview that I saw, and he questioned with the big guarantees and only playing 54 holes and only 8 tournaments a year, is what the incentive is for the players to work on their games and really try to compete. And I can identify with that, except that the contracts surely are only for a certain amount of time, and they'd have to try to be competitive because there'd be new people coming along each year or each 4 years or whenever the length of the contract is. And I think that knowing the pros that I played with, hell, if we went out and played a Nassau, hell, if we played for $1, we were so competitive that we wanted to win. There's no substitute for victory.
Right. All right. Butch, I want your feedback on that and expand upon that, if you will, a little bit.
I could give a pretty good answer to that because Bruce hit it just a moment ago for playing for $1. When we first hopped out there, we had a couple options of what we used to motivate ourselves. One would be money, and the other is we enjoyed the game. It was a fun game. We came up through a younger ranks, I'm talking about 12, 14, 15 years of age, and I know we had aspirations that we wanted to get out there, play on a tour, to see how we could do against the best. Luckily, we had the ability to let that happen. We did not know what the outcome was going to be. It'd be us going into the unknown. And once you go into the unknown, you have to have a lot of confidence in yourself. You can't play golf. You can't play winning golf at our level without confidence. But how do you get confidence? Well, you have to play a lot, and you find out that you can compete with the ones your age and maybe a little bit better, and that's what would spawn us to get out there to play. So we play over many, many years, 2 things: money, the enjoyment of it, and also have success.
Yeah, I mean, that seems like a pretty good way to go about it. I think think about it when you're a kid. You go out and play a game because you want to go play the game. I mean, yeah, sure, it's a job and there's money and there's burnout. So over time, maybe your performance could drop off over time because it becomes work. So I want to ask you, Bruce, take about 30 seconds or maybe 1 minute and talk to me about what the work aspect is of playing a game like that at the highest level versus the pleasure side of it. Where do you draw the line?
Well, let's go back to when I won the Australian Open. I felt that I proved I could compete against the best players in Australia back in 1956. And I wanted to find out if I could compete favorably against the best players in the world, who I considered to be in the United States at the time. So that was my incentive. And the other aspect, touching on what Butch talked about, yes, for success, but there were also exemptions involved. You had to keep playing well and trying to earn an exemption on the PGA Tour by winning a tournament or staying in the top, whatever it was, number of official tournament list of players, and I forget how many that was now. So we all, when you think about when I first came over here, we were happy to play for $15,000. I remember the Baton Rouge Open and the St. Petersburg Open and the Miami Open were all $15,000 tournaments in 1957 when I played. And the first amount of tournaments that I played, the first tournament I played was the Houston Open, which was $30,000 tournament, total purse, not first prize. So, and then if you think about that it's my understanding that neither Sam Snead nor Ben Hogan ever amassed an official amount of $1 million in official prize money. Okay. And you know, Snead won 82, 83 tournaments.
That's a lot of tournaments. So when we come back from break, which is going to be, we're going to go on break in about 45 seconds or so. Butch, I want you to give me your same feedback on the same, because I mean, look, at some point when you're playing an amateur game and it's just for fun, you're just playing to play. You're always competitive because why else would you be playing anyway? Even if it's for fun, it's still competitive. But at what point do you draw the line and say, you know what, it's now a job because there's money involved? But even though at some point you can actually look past the job side and say, you know what, it still is a game. And maybe, I don't know, maybe there's some line that people don't know about, but I want to hear more about that. Folks, we're going to come back here with a couple of legends in the golfing world, and that would be Mr. Bruce Crampton and Mr. Butch Baird. Back here in just a few minutes on the Sports Circus. Lots more to come. Don't go anywhere.
Nobody wants to get ripped off, broken into, or robbed, but nobody wants to pay a lot of money to have their home protected either. I've got an offer to tell you about to provide home security for your home for less than $1 a day. For real, with no installation or equipment charges. And this is from a company rated #1 by a leading consumer research company. According to the facts, most of you won't even call unless there's a burglary in your neighborhood or something bad happened. So let's give you a reason. Save money. For less than $1 a day with no other costs, you can get your home secured. Plus, get a lifetime equipment replacement warranty. You need protection for your home. Call the Home Security Hotline right now.
800-361-3491. 800-361-3491. 800-361-3491. Again, that's 800-361-3491.
AMP, the multi-format network, is here to help create, produce, distribute, and sell your content. For more information, send a message to info@aamp.tv. That's info@aamp.tv.
Are you a small business owner or pursuing the dream of starting your own company? Do you know where to start or how to grow that existing business? The American Business Trust Company has the answers you need. The American Business Trust Company can help you with startup capital, business strategy, sales and marketing, and establishing your company with a physical location or on the internet. You decide. You bring the idea. The American Business Trust Company can help with the rest. For a free evaluation, you may visit them online at abtrustco.com. That's abtrustco.com, or call them at 657-600-1876. That's the American Business Trust Company, 657-600-1876. Call them today. They can help your business right away.
Come on, you watch the news. Be prepared to pay more taxes. Then if you owe back taxes or haven't filed in a few years, get ready. The IRS, the largest collection agency in the world, will be coming after you with the power to collect taxes by any means they want to. Hey, they can freeze your bank account, your passport, even padlock your business. Oh, good times. Look, if the IRS claims you owe them $5,000 or more in back taxes and they're coming after you, don't panic. Call my friends at Get a Tax Lawyer first. Their job is to negotiate with the IRS and save you money. They're experts at it. That's all they do, and you can trust them. In some cases, they have reduced a $50,000 tax bill to less than $1,000. If you owe the IRS $5,000 or more in back taxes, call now for a free consultation.
800-908-7016. 800-908-7016. 800-908-7016. That's 800-908-7016.
Welcome back to the Sports Circus. I'm your ringmaster, Sal, live from Las Vegas in the AMP TV studio, WAMP.TV. This segment brought to you in part by Legal Shield, providing legal protection and peace of mind. Legal Shield can help with traffic tickets, texting and driving, DUIs, court appearances, estate planning, maybe something crawled up your leg, you didn't know what it was. You need a lawyer, contact Legal Shield. Maybe they can help. 213-245-1305. That's 213-245-1305. Again, 213-245-1305. Or check them out online at www.nocourt.us. That's nocourt.us. All right, and a big welcome in everybody listening in on our CBS, NBC, and Fox Sports affiliates from coast to coast, including our friends over in Honolulu on CBS Sports 1500 KHKA. That's home of the San Francisco 49ers, New York Yankees, and the Alabama Crimson Tide. Welcome in everybody in Southern California. You may be listening in on CNBC or NBC News right here in Las Vegas. KIOF Magic 97.9 FM right around the corner from the Fremont Street Experience. Over at Atlanta, WDJY 99.1 FM. Thanks for waking up with us. And thanks for coming home with us on WAUD over in Auburn, Alabama, home of the world champion Atlanta Braves. And, of course, our friends over on KFNV in Faraday, Louisiana, Natchez, Mississippi, 107.1 The River. And, of course, make sure you check out their partner station, and that's 104.7 The Gator. Everybody else on Hotel TV and 500,000 rooms from coast to coast, and Instagram, Facebook, Twitter, as well as AMP TV, WAMP.TV. I think I mentioned it as well. Who knows? I'm just going in circles, folks. It doesn't matter. It's live. That's what I do. I make mistakes. So anyway, also we want to make sure we welcome in everybody in on Cox, Comcast, Spectrum, Frontier, and WOW Cable television affiliates. Here with a couple of golfing legends, the great Bruce Crampton, and of course the great Butch Baird. A couple of guys, and Bruce and I were just listening to Butch talk about an episode with something crawling up Butch's leg, and for everybody that missed it, well, too bad for you. We're not going to hear about that again. You'll have to go back and listen to the recorded show, and you'll be able to get that one on social media. But I want to know, Butch, when it comes to the game becoming a job, let's just say it that way. At one point, we know when there's money involved, but at what point do you think about golf as becoming an actual job?
I would say when you don't enjoy it as much as you did before. The enjoyment is one of the situations what is able to stimulate us to keep us out there playing. How many people go to work every day and they don't really enjoy it as much as they should their work? Not golf, but regular work. So we are privileged that we can do what we do because it's enjoyment too.
Okay. So let me ask you this, Bruce. Let's go back to, you turned pro, I think you were 20 years old, right?
No, 17.
17 years old, my mistake. All right, so at 17, did you say, I want to be a golfer for a living, or do I want to do something else for a living? What did you possibly want to do if the golf thing didn't work out?
Well, we got to go back further than that. When I graduated to go to university, my father sat me down and told me, son, it's time for you to make the first big decision in your life, what you want to do for the rest of your life. Your mother and I will make the necessary sacrifices to put you through university to be a doctor or a dentist or whatever you want to do. But if you want to play golf, then that's going to be your decision. And I don't want you coming back years from now and saying we forced you to do anything. So I asked my father to give me 12 months to decide to see if my junior amateur career advanced, and it certainly did. And then I was offered a contract with Slazenger's to turn pro. I think I should have been in the Eisenhower Cup team to go to St. Andrews in 1953, but because I was so young, I was left out of the team. So I decided to turn pro. And Norman von Nieder, who was the Australian's most glamorous player and outstanding player at that time, promised me an overseas trip. And so when I had to serve 2 years apprenticeship, and in 1956, he took me overseas with Frank Phillips, another young Australian player. And actually the first tournament I won, the first tournament I played in as a member of the PGA of Australia was the 1956 Australian Open in Royal Sydney. And I was fortunate enough to win that. Then I won the Speedo tournament a couple of weeks later on Peter Thompson's home course with him in the field. And as a result of those two victories, I was invited to play in the 1957 Masters tournament at Augusta National, and that's what brought me to the United States.
Okay. So I like the fact that your father sat you down and you had a conversation about it, because we think about athletes today, and Butch, I'm going to have a similar question for you. When I remember I was, 14, 15, I was playing baseball in high school, and I didn't know what I wanted to do. I mean, I just wanted to, go to the parties and date as many girls as I possibly could, go to get myself into as much trouble as I possibly could without going to jail. So that was sort of my MO. And I didn't really care much about my studies at that point. But at some point, I decided, I guess I'm good enough to do this. But what really put me over is that I couldn't turn pro at 14 in another sport. So I said, I'm going to learn how to play this team game, and hopefully I can go to college with a scholarship, et cetera, et cetera. And so that's what kind of moved me into the baseball field. So Butch, I want you to talk about yourself on how it happened for you. I mean, did you want to be an engineer? Did you want to be a doctor, a lawyer, a scientist, whatever? Or did you just want to be a golfer?
At the beginning, when I first started playing, I was 15. And I come from a family who are all doctors or nurses. So I was headed for medicine in the back of my mind. But I picked up the golf club when I was 15 and learned how to play pretty fast. Now, I'll give you a little bit of funny thing here that happened. When I was about 18, I kept going back to the farm in Michigan. I was raised by my two grandparents on a farm, a pretty large farm. So when I was 18, I was out there in the farming for June, July, and August all the time. And I had a lot of time off because when you went around a field with a combine, it'd take about 15 or 20 minutes. So I would sit out there and play dice games with myself against Snead, Hogan, and Nelson. And I always wanted to beat them throwing the dice. 3 years after this little episode, I am on the tee with Snead and Arnold. Now, how can you go from 18 years of age, 3 years later, playing with those guys that you were playing dice with by yourself?
Wow. That's nuts. It's a great story. When we think of how do we build our interest in something to the point where it becomes a career, I think a lot of people can't make that connection. And in today's time, you think of the parents of these young kids, and these are the parents that basically let their kids just run amok. I mean, we don't even know who's doing what, where. This is in the typical family today. I mean, how you were raised, both of you two, back in your day, I mean, very much how I was raised. And so there was a lot of structure at home. But in today's time, I got to tell you, I don't even know is there any structure? Bruce, what do you think? Is there any structure in the home for the most part?
Not enough. I've seen it change tremendously. Now, my father was a police officer. He worked for the New South Wales Police Force for 37 years. So there was no gray area in our family. Something was legal or it was illegal. It was truthful or it was dishonest. And one thing that stuck in my mind, I'm 86 years of age now, and one thing that stuck in my mind, Dad always told me, son, tell the truth. That way you don't have to have a good memory. And when he was a detective, that's how he caught the criminals. He'd keep asking them questions. If they were lying, they would catch themselves. So that was the big discipline. I had to, abide by the rules and regulations that my parents set down. And then I was ready to go to school and then out into society and abide by the rules and regulations of the community, the state, and the country.
So, Butch, how do you feel about what he just said, and what's your opinion on it?
I think it's 100% right there. Bruce and I, along with a lot of other professional golfers out there have a drive that's not able to pick up visually. We can take our own drive internally and make it work for ourselves because we want to accomplish something, whatever that is. And I was instilled upon those by my father and mother, grandma and grandpa, both of them, because they were all successful. And I guess being around them all those years, knowing what they were able to accomplish, that there was an internal drive with them, and I guess you kind of get that by osmosis at times.
Right. And, you know, when I look at it, hell, my mom worked at the police department as well. I couldn't mess up because she was already the toughest lady in the area code. I mean, we didn't get slapped or whatever. No, she hit straight. It was tough, and she was tough. I mean, believe me, there was no fooling around with her, so we couldn't get away with a damn thing. So I'll tell you what, when we come back, I'm going to dig into a little bit of the camaraderie on the golf course of what it was then, maybe what it looks like today. Who knows? There's so much money out there changing hands. You have to wonder, is there any real camaraderie anymore? Because the numbers are so big, and does the number distort fun? Back here in a few minutes with a couple of golf legends. That'll be Mr. Bruce Crampton and Mr. Butch Baird in just a few.
Attention business owners, you and your customers are listening to this commercial right now. Face it, every business needs customers, even yours. The Sports Circus is a primetime nationally syndicated program that's carried on ABC, NBC, CNBC, and Westwood One News affiliates, plus CBS, Fox, and NBC sports affiliates across North America with coverage from Hawaii to New York. Also, the Sports Circus is available to the 180 million subscribers on iHeartRadio, and the Sports Circus gets about 4 million website visitors per month, which could click through your website and bring sales. The Sports Circus provides great content featuring celebrity guests from sports and entertainment to our audience every weekday, which your company could greatly benefit from by increasing your visibility, foot traffic, eyeballs to your website, and calls from potential customers. Call us right now at 702-799-9935. Again, 702-799-9935, or email us at info@thesportscircus.com. That's info@thesportscircus.com. Drive your sales today by advertising with the Sports Circus.
Nobody wants to get ripped off, broken into, or robbed, but nobody wants to pay a lot of money to have their home protected either. I've got an offer to tell you about to provide home security for your home for less than $1 a day. For real, with no installation or equipment charges. And this is from a company rated #1 by a leading consumer research company. According to the facts, most of you won't even call unless there's a burglary in your neighborhood or something bad happened. So let's give you a reason. Save money. For less than $1 a day with no other costs, you can get your home secured. Plus, get a lifetime equipment replacement warranty. You need protection for your home. Call the Home Security Hotline right now.
800-361-3491. 800-361-3491. 800-361-3491. Again, that's 800-361-3491.
So, you want to be in show business. Do people tell you that you're really funny, you have a great personality, and you should have your own talk show? Many of us have been told that, but we don't know how to get started. It's easier than you think. Let the pros at Cali Vegas give you a free talent evaluation. Call 949-445-1119 and learn how quickly you can create, produce, and host your very own talk show. Imagine not having to sit in traffic every day, commuting back and forth to the same old boring job. Get started in television or radio today with your free talent evaluation from Cali Vegas. Call 949-445-1119 or visit them online at calivegas.com. Make your dream come true today and create your new career and learn how to become a television or radio star with the help of Cali Vegas. 949-445-1119. Call now.
Flying Trapeze, what a great song. Welcome back to the Sports Circus. I'm your ringmaster, Sal, live from Las Vegas in the AMP TV studio, AAMP.TV. Folks, first of all, make sure you like, subscribe, and follow the Sports Circus on all our social media. That would be on Facebook, Instagram, AMP TV, AAMP.TV, as well as Twitter. So we have all of those. And also, this segment is brought to you in part by our friends over at Kelly Vegas, helping people create and host their very own radio, TV, or multimedia talk show. Kelly Vegas can help with everything they need to get out of sitting in hours of traffic, commuting back and forth to the same old boring job, and host their very own talk show in their very own home studio. For more information, contact Kelly Vegas at 949-445-1119. That's 949-445-1119. Again, 949-445-1119. Or check them out at kellyvegas.com. That's www.CALIvegas.com. All right, a big welcome back to everybody. You know who you are. It's everybody at our CBS, NBC, Fox Sports affiliates, Cox, Comcast, Spectrum, Frontier, Well, Cable TV, Magic 97.9 FM right here in Las Vegas, plus Hotel TV in over 500,000 rooms from coast to coast. Back here with the great Bruce Crampton, winning a large amount of PGA titles, and Mr. Butch Baird doing the same thing, maybe just a couple of less, but these guys, boy, they know damn near everything there is to know about the golfing world. And there was one guy, Butch, you may remember this, when you were on the show previously. This was a few years ago. There was a guy that said, and I got to ask both of you this because I know he's listening right now. He said, allegedly, there are 32 things you have to do before you hit a golf ball. And for the life of me, he and I have talked about this numerous times. And the only thing that we came up with, Butch, you may remember, there was about 18 different things you could possibly fathom that you could do before you hit a golf ball, besides just literally fall asleep thinking about it. Have you given any thought to that? And really, Butch and Bruce, are there 32 things you've got to do before hitting a golf ball?
Oh, yes. If your first name is Sal.
No, it's not me. No. No, it has nothing to do with me. That's the wrong answer. No, I'm trying to figure out, between the two of you, are there 32 things you do? I mean, look, maybe in your brain you think of 32 things. I don't know, but he says somehow magically there's 32 things. Look, you guys have been doing this for a lot of years. How many can you come up with, really? 10, 15 at most?
You're talking about in a golf swing.
Not in a golf swing per se. I'm talking about from the moment you pick the ball up out of your bag and you have a tee and you put it into the ground or whatever. I guess that would be one or two things, right? I have no damn clue of the other 32 things.
Well, I'm lucky to have one, because if you do have one, that would be the major area that you want to work on to score better. If you get more than one, you get so confused, you're divided amongst all these others and you can't give your attention. So one is plenty, even if you use one.
Okay,
right,
so Bruce?
I go at it a little differently. I feel like the golf at tournament level is played subconsciously, if you will. I used to try to get a visual picture, an imaginary vision or picture of the type of shot that I wanted to hit. Before I hit the ball, certainly I had to compute a lot of things. Hitting it off a tee was the easiest thing, but when you got it out in the fairway or the rough, you had to consider the lie, how it was going to come off the club face, what it was going to do through the air, what it was going to do when it hit the green, how far it was going to run, et cetera, et cetera. And then when you said about hitting it, you had to then clear all that out of your mind and allow your subconscious to take over and try to just, through the thought transference from your fingers to the subconscious part of your mind, you tried to come as close to creating the perfect shot, and you never did hit a perfect shot. So that's why golf galleries are required to be quiet, because the subconscious mind works when the conscious mind is at rest. For instance, you don't dream while you're awake. You dream when you're sound asleep. So the least little thing, whether it was a camera pointed at you or that somebody made a noise or a leaf blowing or a bird or something that was unexpected and out of the ordinary, that subtracted from the subconscious mind to work efficiently. Now, the blimp flying over, that was a constant sound. That was no problem aboard. You could set that aside. So I went at it a little differently, and I was successful at it. But I treated golf as a business. There wasn't 1 year in all the years that I was successful on both tours that my supplemental income ever superseded my prize money. So I was dependent on prize money to accumulate a living, to take care of my family, and hopefully have a nest egg for later in life.
I have to say that's the best explanation I've ever heard of somebody saying why you have to stay quiet while somebody's hitting a ball. Well, and concentrating. I've never heard an explanation like that. So very good.
You talk to me about baseball. That's a reflex. Somebody throws the ball at you and you don't have to think about it. But with golf, or billiards is another one. That billiards is the only other one that I can think of where you have to plan ahead, or I guess chess for that matter too. And so it's different in that regard. And that's what makes it so unique. And I competed against the golf course in the elements. I finally learned in my career that if I made less mistakes than anybody else over the course of the tournament, I would win the tournament. So my objective was to minimize mistakes to the best of my ability. Unfortunately, I had to admit that I was going to make mistakes, and I didn't like to have to do that, but that's what was required.
Butch, how about you?
That's a good explanation right there, Bruce, because the lack of mistakes produces scores that you can accept. You only accept when you win. When you don't win, you can go back and look over your areas that you made mistakes, and hopefully you can correct those as you go to the next week. We go week by week, starting brand new again. So you do have a lot of opportunities to win. You don't win that much out there because there's always 150 other guys or 44 of them. And there's a lot of those guys think like you do, have the same ability, and can handle situations equal to what you do and maybe better. I can give you one example. Nicholas was one of them. I played a lot of rounds with him, just like Bruce has. And he handled a lot of situations better than I could handle them. So I kind of watched him and listened a lot when I was around him to try to pick up a little bit more of that information that I would like to use in my golf game.
That's good stuff. You know, we don't really hear this kind of dialogue on this program because most of the time, if we're sitting in maybe a conference like this, there's a few of us here, and maybe we'll have a couple of football players or a couple of basketball players. We don't get the same because, let's face it, there is no silence, unless, of course, you're playing a couple of years ago when there's nobody in the seats. But generally, there's no silence, or there's nobody purposely being quiet, except maybe on a home free throw, right? But generally, it's loud. You don't have to concentrate in that same way. Whereas the one caveat on the baseball field, as the pitcher, I mean, that's what I used to do, and we actually controlled the tempo of the game, right? Whether it was slow or fast. Because if we were fast workers on the hill, then we would keep the guys behind us. Like I would have 7 guys behind me and the catcher in front of me. We would keep them engaged in the game because the game would be moving faster. But that's not necessarily the case in golf, is it? Now, there have been some players that play slower, some players that play faster. And of course, you're playing against yourself or against the course, right? So maybe it's just a matter of maybe a little bit more time for concentration is needed from person to person, and that's an isolated situation. Would you agree or disagree, Butch?
Yes, I totally agree.
Bruce, what do you think?
I agree. Golf, I'd like to take what I said before a little bit further. There was no animosity, as far as I was concerned, towards other players. If somebody finished 10 under par and I finished 9 under par, I would congratulate them because they made one mistake less than I did.
Right.
So that was my philosophy, and I forget what you were talking about now. What, can you refresh my memory a little bit? I lost my train of thought here.
That's just right. It happens to me all the time too, if you know what I mean. It happens to me all the time. But it's the idea that, I mean, look, your pace of the game. In fact, we'll have you answer this in the next segment because we're going to break here in just a moment. Your pace of the game, both of you two, Butch and Bruce, your pace of the game is different.
Well, ours different. It's different than like an executive. An executive has a group of people around him, and he doesn't have to make split-second decisions very often. A golfer is making, if you win a tournament of 278, you've made 278 split-second decisions over the course of 4 days. And the only person that can help you is your caddy.
That's right. Okay, tell you what, when we come back, Bruce or Butch, I want to hear from you on this, on the pace of play discussion. Right when we come back, this is really good stuff. You know, guys like me, I don't know. I'm very illiterate when it comes to golf. All I know is I've got to hit the ball and chase it, hit the ball and chase it, and hopefully it doesn't take me 10 putts to put the ball in the hole. Anyway, folks, back here in a few minutes with a couple of golfing legends. That'd be Mr. Bruce Crampton and Mr. Butch Baird. Don't go anywhere.
You don't sit behind a desk every day to earn a living. You're out and about making it happen. And sometimes you get a little bit behind on your paperwork, like bookkeeping and paying your taxes. It's easy to get behind on paying your taxes. It happens to the best of us. And you know what happens next. The big bad IRS comes knocking on your door. And when that happens, you need to call the good old boys at the Tax Doctor. Let them do what they do best. Deal and negotiate with the IRS so you pay the lowest you can in back taxes that the law allows. We are a 100% U.S.-based company, and we've saved our clients millions over the years in back taxes. If you owe $10,000 or more in back taxes, call my friends right now at the Tax Doctor and learn more.
800-989-1694. 800-989-1694. 800-989-1694. That's 800-989-1694.
Nobody wants to get ripped off, broken into, or robbed, but nobody wants to pay a lot of money to have their home protected either. I've got an offer to tell you about to provide home security for your home for less than $1 a day. For real, with no installation or equipment charges. And this is from a company rated #1 by a leading consumer research company. According to the facts, most of you won't even call unless there's a burglary in your neighborhood or something bad happened. So let's give you a reason. Save money. For less than $1 a day with no other costs, you can get your home secured. Plus, get a lifetime equipment replacement warranty. You need protection for your home. Call the Home Security Hotline right now.
800-361-3491. 800-361-3491. 800-361-3491. Again, that's 800-361-3491.
That's the sound of sizzling, dry-aged USDA Prime Wagyu and Angus steaks from UppercutChops.com. Their best-in-class filet mignons, New York steaks, and the king of all steaks, the tomahawk and cowboy cut ribeyes are the best in the business. Even their Prime Wagyu burgers will likely be the best you've ever had. Browse the full selection of steaks and chops at UppercutChops.com from the comfort of your home or on your mobile device. UppercutChops.com delivers all-natural, dry-aged USDA Prime Wagyu and Angus steaks and chops directly to your door, without the hassle of going to the grocery store and fight crowds to pick from a small selection of average and best meats with injected steroids, fillers, and coloring added to look good. Find out what's for dinner at UppercutChops.com or call 702-799-9935. That's 702-799-9935. 702-799-9935. Or make your selection directly at UppercutChops.com.
Welcome back to the Sports Circus. I'm your ringmaster, Sal, live from Las Vegas in the AMP TV studio, AAMP.TV. Folks, make sure you check out thesportscircus.com for our upcoming guest, our prior guest, our recorded shows, which are a podcast. They can be found on iHeartRadio, Spotify, Apple Podcast, Google, Stitcher, you name it, we're there. Also, make sure you check out our partners page. One of those partners is the College of Southern Nevada Athletics, csncoyotes.com for upcoming games and events. That's the College of Southern Nevada Athletics, csncoyotes.com for their upcoming events and games. All right, welcome back to everybody on our CBS, NBC, Fox Sports affiliates from coast to coast. Magic 97.9 FM right here in Las Vegas, as well as Cox, Comcast Spectrum, Frontier, Wow Cable TV, Hotel Television, and Instagram, Facebook, AMP TV, AAMP.TV, Twitter, everywhere else. You can't get away from us, even on the Mars rover. All right, back here with a couple of golfing legends. That would be Mr. Bruce Crampton, I don't know, winner of 42, 43. Is it 43 titles total?
I'm led to believe 45.
40. Oh, excuse me, 45. I think I made that mistake.
You might mention two awards that I'm very proud of. I won 2 Varden trophies.
That's right, and that is the best stroke average, right?
Yes.
That's good stuff. And of course, then we have Mr. Butch Baird, and you have quite a few wins in your coffer. I think 15 of them as well. Is that not correct?
That would be worldwide, yes.
Worldwide. Okay, so in the last segment, I had alluded to the idea of pace of play, and I want you to talk about pace of play, how it affected you with the people in front of you or behind you. How does it affect you if you're in the middle of a tour event?
Have an effect on it. Now, I'll have to give a little history on it because I am a slow player. My decisions don't come fast. Even my wife said when we go to the hardware store, it takes you 5 minutes to pick out the bolt that you want when you come back to the house to fix whatever it is. So anyway, slow play is not anything that really helps us, except for certain people. The slow play is out there. They're trying to correct it. I say they are trying to correct it, and it's getting better. And you get that through the younger ones on the way up. I had a son, and he got into the habit of slow play at the beginning stages when he was a young boy, and he was going through the basics of what he wanted to do with the shot. Finally, I said, Brian, we're going to go play golf. We're going to play 18 holes. Okay, let's go play. I said, that's not all of it. We're going to play 18 holes in an hour and 45 minutes.
Wow.
He said, well, okay. Now he can't make any decisions. You just get up and hit, but you go on muscle memory. Muscle memory is what you have worked on all your life to get the swing pretty much the way you want it. So you do have to go on what instinct you have over those hundreds of thousands of balls you've hit, and also with your decision making are fast. So slow play, yeah, we don't need it. I wish I could have done better. I didn't, but anyway, I'll return it over to Bruce now and see what he says about it.
So, Bruce, did you feel rushed when there was maybe a foursome behind you, and they were, let's say you're at the tee box, right? And then there's a cart behind your cart just waiting for you to hit. Do you feel rushed at that point? Does it distract you from your game?
That's the wrong sort of thought pattern. You can't think about that. That's going to detract from your shot making ability. I want to express a different feeling of something that Butch just mentioned. I personally don't believe that muscles have memory. I think the art was to try to train your brain to fire your muscles in the correct order. And you did that by practicing and preparing yourself for each tournament. And you had to try to prepare yourself for any eventuality. You couldn't cover them all, but that was my caddy's assignment too. He had to try to be prepared for any eventuality. But as far as slow play is concerned, that's another thing that's different to the business world. It used to be 40 seconds. I don't know what it is now when you had to hit a shot, but an executive doesn't have a limited amount of time more often than not to make decisions. An airline pilot might, but I sure wouldn't want a surgeon, for instance, in a delicate heart surgery operation making quick decisions with my life. I hope that he was very calculated and thought through everything that he did. And golf, to hit the shots that we hit, required that sort of mentality and that sort of focus.
That's a great perspective. Butch, how about it?
Yeah, that's exactly the way you want to do it. You hit upon the medical field. There's no slow play there. If you do, bring in the next body. So your decision making is pretty much made up even before you get there. You have, I don't know in baseball, but I think they have a time limit to get the ball back into play. Basketball has one, and there's other sports endeavors where they're kind of bringing it into the highlight to make the game faster. So it's a good thing to get. I get that habit in the correct way as you're on the way up in your profession.
Yeah, and I can identify with the fact that yes, there are clocks in certain games. Baseball, which I'm very upset that they're trying to speed the game up, because back in the day, you go to a ball game and you don't know how long you're going to be there. And as a kid, you're going hoping for extra innings so you get bonus baseball. But people complain about the pace of the game these days, which to me, it just drives me crazy. They're trying to speed the game up. Then they add instant replay to slow the game down. Then they have this inspection, that inspection to slow the game down. It's just a conundrum. And it's all about TV contracts. And so money is so important in sports today. I mean, it's always been important, but it hasn't been at the forefront of everything. And frankly, it's a little embarrassing to see what happens now with the flow of money in sports, just like in baseball, football, and hockey and basketball. Well, guess what? You've got to turn your lineups into the casinos 90 minutes before the game starts. And to me, I'm sorry, that is fundamentally wrong on every level, because I could see how these games certainly get compromised. I believe the games are fixed. I have every reason to believe that. Many of the football players that I know of, they won't talk about it on the record, but they'll tell you certain things happen on the field that go a particular way. Same thing in basketball. We've had cheating referees on. And on top of it, we see it in baseball with the umpires squeezing the pitchers. So the strike zone gets a lot smaller. And I've seen that. I've seen it firsthand. And so, look, and we've already seen what happens in hockey. If you're a big hockey fan, all you hockey fans out there, you and I both know that the lowest people skating around on the surface are the linesmen, not even the referees. So the linesmen make calls that are very borderline. And sometimes, magically, the off-ice official that people don't know about doesn't even take a look at something when they're supposed to look at it.
Sal, I can assure you there's nothing fixed about a golf tournament. And the players are required to play by the rules, and the players call penalty shots on themselves, and they police themselves. That's one of the unique things about the golf tour.
That's great. That's great, because I see the crookedness in the other sports, and frankly, it's embarrassing. And when you've played, you know what looks wrong, and it's sometimes it's so remarkably obvious. It drives people crazy. But in the golf game, let's get back to golf. We only had just a couple of minutes left, guys. Butch, I want to ask you real quick. Give me a funny moment between you two guys that have happened out there while you're on the tour somewhere. Give me something.
Well, I'd have to say, Bruce and I played a lot of rounds, the practice rounds, a lot of those. Once in a while, we would get something on the other person during a practice round, such as we might tie a couple of his irons together so he couldn't get them out of the bag during practice round. And he looked over at me and he said, "You SOB, I know it's you that's doing this stuff." Or we'd be in the exercise trailer and we'd be jerking each other around pretty good. added weights to the scale, so they weighed more that day. They didn't realize it. Just a few little things like that people don't particularly know. Now, Bruce had a good one because he had a lot of friends out there. When he was out there playing, cameras were on to him a lot. So if he would rub his eye with his finger, they knew that he was saying hi to them. So he can expound on that a little bit. But there's a lot of little things out there people really don't know what's happening, and some we can say and some we can't.
Which finger was that, Bruce?
This one.
Yeah, that's what I thought.
That came from another story, which only friends that knew the story knew that I was saying hi to them on television. No, the rank and file, the public, and the press didn't know what was happening. But let me tell you about Butch. We had a small group of players that were friends, and we kind of took advantage of Butch's stuttering, because we walk by him and say, "Butch, what did you shoot?" And he'd say, "I shot 3 under par." And then he'd go 10 feet further, and one of the other players would ask him the same thing. And so we kind of played a joke on him, and it wasn't. It was terms of endearment. We weren't trying to be smart or hurt him, but he didn't know for several years that was taking place. At least that's what he's told me.
Aha. All right.
Yes, that's exactly right. I never knew what was happening. I just thought they were interested in what I was shooting.
Well, who knows about that? But either way, listen, guys, it's been a pleasure, and we're going to get this thing right next time. It's going to be a lot smoother, and, the audience is hearing a little bit of feedback, but, unfortunately, and I'm not talking about feedback from other people, it's just a little bit of reverb. It's just that sometimes, look, folks, this is live. We're not fixing it in the mix. We're not trying to correct anything right now. Hell, we spent an hour trying to do that anyway. But at the end of the day, we're here. We're having fun. And actually, I enjoyed myself, and hopefully you guys did as well. Was it good for you, Bruce?
Yeah, it was fine. It's good to see Butch, and it's only a small picture of him, but I'm glad to see he's still upright and looking at the top of the divots.
Butch, final word.
Final word. Well, if you're not looking at the divot, you don't care.
All right. I guess that's the final word. All right. Well, listen, guys, we're going to bring you back again, and we're going to have a little bit more fun with this. But again, thank you for your time, and thanks for coming on to the Sports Circus today. Nice round of applause for a couple of golfing legends, Mr. Bruce Crampton and Mr. Butch Baird. Folks, we're going to see you next time right here on your favorite station. So until then, in 23 hours, we'll see you soon. So long, everyone.
Business owner or pursuing the dream of starting your own company? Do you know where to start or how to grow that existing business? The American Business Trust Company has the answers you need. The American Business Trust Company can help you start up with capital, business strategy, sales, and marketing, and establish your company with a physical location or an online presence on the internet. You decide. You bring the idea. Then American Business Trust can help with the rest. For a free evaluation, visit them online at abtrustco.com. That's abtrustco.com. Or call them at 657-600-1876. That's American Business Trust Company. 657-600-1876. Call them today. They'll help your business right away. That's American Business Trust Company. Online at abtrustco.com. American Business Trust Company.